Hello everyone, I hope you're all keeping well, healthy and happy. It's time to talk about France again. They've just held their general election and the results are in. Emmanuel Macron is now the president of France. For those people that have any rationality left or any semblance of free thought left, this is of very serious concern. Why? Well, because Macron has some very intricate links to certain international banking cartels, as well as special interest groups and other groups that are operating inside France that have a very clear agenda of destroying the sovereignty of France as a nation. To give some examples of this, he was an investment banker at Rothschild and CIE Bank. He was a member of the Socialist Party from 2006 to 2009. He was appointed as Deputy Secretary General under François Hollande's first government in 2012. He was also a young leader with the French-American Foundation, which is an organization founded in the 1970s by two US members of the Council on Foreign Relations. He's also pro-Europe and pro-European Union, and has stated that he supports the open door policy towards immigrants and refugees that was pursued by Angela Merkel in Germany. He also happens to be a Freemason with the Grand Orient Lodge in France. But the fact that he has stated that he is going to pursue the same goals in terms of immigration policy as Angela Merkel tells us a lot. Because nobody doubts that there are people that are trying to flee war-torn regions and nations, mostly because of Western intervention, by the way, and that's the first thing we'd have to stop. But that aside, there are people that will flee from war, and they do need protection and asylum. But here's the problem. When Angela Merkel pursued this open borders policy, letting in unchecked, unverified people in mass numbers, most of whom were undocumented and unvetted, then there is no way to confirm that those people are from those war-torn regions. Many of them weren't. Most of them were men of fighting age. And we saw what happened, did we not? With the mass rape epidemic in Sweden and the assaults that happened in Germany and the assaults and the terror attacks that happened in France. But if France wants to dig its own grave, who are we to stop it, I suppose? And I already spoke about this in a previous video. Okay, I already talked about this. France, see, as far as France is concerned, it's game over. Okay, they can't win. They're finished. Especially with this kind of idiotic decision that they've made. They're finished. Because they all buy into the concept of government. They all buy into the ridiculous dreams, the illusions, the nightmares, in fact, that are sold to them by the banks. Okay? They buy into the political dichotomies that are presented in front of them, and they don't take their own sovereignty into their own hands. They do not want that. So what France has confirmed is that the majority of its population is ignorant and foolish. Okay, that's what this result confirms. Because they're not grasping or getting the fact that having Macron as president will only move the process of self-destruction further down the line. It'll accelerate it. Okay? And you'll see an increase in terror attacks. That will happen. As I say, Macron said that these will become a daily occurrence and you just have to accept them as part of daily life to the French people, right? So if that's the way France wants it, fair enough. Meanwhile, the left are busy cheering this. Okay, they're busy cheering this result, not realizing that they have just put together the gallows and the noose that will lead to their own death. They don't seem to realize that. And that's what ignorance produces. And I've talked about this so many times, is that the human race en masse in general is completely ignorant. They'll happily sign away their life. They'll happily contribute to it. They'll put the bullets in the gun that will shoot them. It's very, very peculiar. It's actually kind of suicidal, but hey, if that's the way they want it, that's the way they want it, particularly in France right now. You know, you can't stop somebody jumping off a cliff if they really want to do that. And that's the way it is. Now, how are we going to see the situation unfold in future? Well, as I say, terror attacks are going to increase. Okay? Sexual assaults are going to increase across France. You're also going to see the national debt of France balloon massively. Seriously massively. And they'll no longer be able to maintain their critical infrastructure, even in the short term. There will be mass riots, mass civil unrest, people will die, there will be totalitarianism, there will be a police state, there will be martial law. In fact, I believe there's already a state of martial law in place there in some respects that will expand. Okay? And people will willingly give up their civil liberties day after day after day under Macron and his government. That will happen. Another thing that will happen is that France will get embroiled in many, many future foreign wars. And you'll ask me, how can you say that? Well, it's very simple. This is how I've come to this conclusion, right? Macron is obviously a pawn of the international banking cartels. Okay? Here's the thing. Banks can only make money, serious money, because right now they're stagnant. See, every financial market is stagnant right now. Okay? And the only way that banks make real money, serious money, is if there's a foreign war going on. Why? Well, because the government has to borrow money to go to war. Okay? And who do they borrow that money from? Well, from the banks. The central banks and the other banks that sprawl off from those. It's really very simple. So the banking houses make a lot of money through that. The weapons and arms manufacturers and contractors make a lot of money as well, as does the government, the people that sit in the government. They make a lot of money. Everyone else loses, and loses horribly, by the way, right? The nation loses, the people that you've just gone to war with lose. Everyone loses across the board, except the banks and the governments and all these institutions that people so willingly believe in and give their power over to. That's the military-industrial complex. And that's what's going to happen with France. More foreign wars, more problems with migration, more terrorism, more instances of crime and rape and all sorts of other horrible things happening. Child abuse, the numbers are going to skyrocket. And in a sense, that is the end result of most of the countries that are a part of the EU. Okay, and there's no stopping that process. I've already stated this. There's no stopping that process. The only way that that process could possibly stop is if every single human being on the face of this earth became aware of the facts, the reality of this orchestrated, engineered system that we are living under. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. I don't see every military officer and every soldier putting down their guns, refusing to kill. I don't see ISIS putting down their guns and refusing to kill. I don't see police officers refusing to kill. I don't see gangsters putting down their guns and refusing to kill. It's pointless one side just doing it, right? Because the bulk total of human beings remain in a state of ignorance and apathy and self-destructiveness. Well, you can only have one conclusion with that. And that is going to be mass death. Which brings me to my final point before I close. You see, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but not only are you going to have all of these problems emerge, but to combat them, or to supposedly combat them at least, to give the illusion or appearance that the government is combating these problems, what they will do is start implementing harsher and harsher penalties and some very, very serious consequences for in order to address or supposedly address some of these problems. And what that's going to lead to is mass genocide. And that's what people don't understand. Okay? You're going to see mass genocide as a supposed means and a way to deal with the problem, instead of preventing the problem occurring in the first place. As they say, prevention is always better than the cure, right? But this will happen. Millions of people are going to die. Okay? Millions of people. And no one will bat an eyelid at that happening, because you've been split into camps of left and right, or these political paradigms or religious paradigms. None of these are true. They're all false. But because people believe in them so strongly, they make them real. Their action, the actions of the people make them real. See, it's not Macron that is sitting there that is going to be holding the hatchet or the machete or the machine gun or driving the truck that plows into groups of people and kills them. Okay? It's the terrorists that are deciding to do that. They're making those choices because they're brainwashed and they're indoctrinated and they're moronic in their heads. Okay? And it's not Macron that is choosing to support those lunatics and defend those lunatics. It's the left. All the people that cheer them on and all the people that are trying to clamp down on free speech, they are the problem. It's not the globalists, as people term them, that are, really causing this pain and destruction and death. It is the people, it is us, it is you, it is me, it is all the people out there that keep assenting to this. Except maybe it isn't you and me, because we're choosing not to be a part of it. We're choosing to be aware, self-aware. But a lot of people aren't choosing that. A lot of people won't choose that. And you can plead with them till you're blue in the face. They still won't listen. Instead of combating the problem individually, directly, they'll just either support it or allow it to happen. You see? And that's all it takes for a tyranny to erect itself. And that's all it takes for mass genocide. The total extermination of an entire populace can happen overnight without anyone batting an eyelid. We've already seen this through history. How many times have I spoken about this? You need only look at what happened in Nazi Germany. You need only look at what happened in communist Russia, the Soviet Union. You need only look at what happened in communist China with a Great Leap Forward. The number of people that have died, that have been murdered because of the mass ignorance of the people, over and over and over and over again, is major. Okay? But instead of learning from history, instead of understanding what caused those problems in the first place, the causal factors, people choose to ignore that. You see, this universe operates under one law, and one law only. And that is the law of cause and effect, action and consequence. And until people get that through their heads, you're going to keep seeing these things happen. More wars, more death, more destruction. And so that's the direction France is heading in, by the way. Right? I'm sorry for the long-winded video, but it's, what do you say? I've already said it in previous videos. I'm saying it again here. France is finished. France is over. Okay? If you want to visit France, I wouldn't advise you to do that. Because it's just going to become more and more dangerous. But if you haven't seen the great works of art and literature and so on and so forth, now might be the time to do it. Because we already saw, once ISIS, for example, the Islamic State, took hold of Syria, what did they do to Palmyra? Anything that they deemed as being offensive to their religion, they destroyed. All works of art, all sculptures, all books. So, I'm going to leave it there because this is incredibly depressing even to think about this. But these are the facts, right? Macron's presidency it's not going to be a good one. Okay, now the left can cheer it on all it wants. The left might even feel that it has a right to celebrate the defeat of Le Pen. And I'm not saying for 1 second that Le Pen was a good candidate. Because all candidates, all political candidates are controlled in one form or another. Right? But what I am saying is that before cheering, you really might want to take a look at what the hell's happening around you. Because if you're not accepting the fact that, look, there are terror attacks happening everywhere, people are dying, people are being violently assaulted. If you're just blind to that, and you think that this is a victory against fascism of some kind, you're a deluded moron. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. Take good care of yourselves, and bless you all.